Hey kids, do you like wrestling? Well, we like wrestling too. We are Shake Them Ropes here on the Voices of Wrestling Podcasting Network. Myself and Chris Novembrino kind of doing a lazy river of wrestling criticism, going through the news and whatever happened in stateside television wrestling. And also, you know what? Sometimes we just like to watch old stuff and talk about that too. Love for you to give us a listen. If you haven't already, we are Shake Them Ropes here on the Voices of Wrestling Podcasting Network.
This podcast is a member of the Voices of Wrestling Podcasting Network. Visit voicesofwrestling.com to hear the rest of our great podcasts, as well as show reviews, columns, opinions, and updates across the world of wrestling.
Hey kids, do you like professional wrestling? Well, we like professional wrestling too. I am Jeff Hawkins. He is Chris Novembrino. I am in the bubble. He is not. He is far better off than I am right now, to be honest with you. Oh, and I'm going to do the banter today because here's a public service announcement for the kids out there. The secret to not being depressed is to concentrate less on yourself. That is the secret to I got stuck in one of those cycles where I was comparing I'll give you an example, Chris. I started doing stand-up in 1991 in high school. The person who has made it the furthest in stand-up from my high school was a year ahead of me. I had never heard of any other stand-ups from Newport News, Virginia, in terms of just that area. But her name's Coco Brown. She has a recurring part on 911, the TV show out here. I go, okay, fine. I can live with that. You know, that won't be my legacy. And then I get to college. Of course, Tina Fey was a couple years ahead of me, but also in a few of my drama classes was a kid by the name of Jake West, who got new faces for the Just for Laughs in Montreal stand-up festival, big comedy festival. He actually did a show I booked once, which is interesting. I wasn't there that night. Like, okay, fine. Best TV writer for my class at UVA, guy by the name of Carter Covington, who was in some of my government classes, who got it by just, I don't know what I want to do with my life. He moved out to LA, started dating a producer, and and was a producer for the show Greek, and was the creator of the TV version of 10 Things I Hate About You. Okay, so I don't get that. So it's just one of those weird things where it's just like, everything you tried, you had somebody who just came along later and did better than you did, and you're just like, okay. So that's my cue for kids. I really don't have a point to this, Chris. I just need to get some therapy out. I'm sorry about that.
Yeah, no, I feel you. I'm 37, and
are you the biggest guitar player out of your high school? In terms of the time you went there?
I guess.
Or a musician or something?
I guess. I haven't. I mean, I just haven't kept up with any of them.
Okay, see, yeah. You just
I don't
them out the door.
No, once I left,
yeah,
I do tend to be pretty good about closing the doors on things.
Yeah, I left Newport News. And that was the follow-up / icing on the cake on this. In terms of wrestling podcasting, I'm not the most well-known wrestling podcaster from my high school. That is Nate Milton of Post Wrestling.
Oh yeah, Nate.
Who also went to Menchville High School in Newport News, Virginia. And I'm just like, damn, even for my hobbies, for my niche interests, I'm not the most well-known of that either. So I'm just like, yeah, I left Newport News thinking my goal was to actually get a feature story in the local paper about how well I'd done after I left my town. That ain't never gonna happen unless I hit the lottery or something. So it's like, whatever. But kind of I had some time to get in that headspace, and then that's why you have to keep busy enough not to get in the headspace, kids. Whatever. Anyways, How's your week, Chris?
I'm 37 and I'm trying to record my first like legitimate collection of songs that I play on and sing and stuff. So yeah, probably a little late to be the big rock star or whatever, but I'm enjoying making music.
As long as you enjoy it. That's the other thing is I stop enjoying comedy in so many ways. It's just like because everything outside of the time on stage was such a pain in the ass. Yeah, whatever. Instead of us bitching about life, let's talk about wrestling, which I'm sure will all be nothing but sunshine and rainbows about. WWE announced on November 7th that NXT would be moving to the CW network in October 2024 after the current contract with USA Network expires. TKO earnings call after the deal was announced, it was said to be a 70% increase in rights fees, which were believed by those in the company and analysts to be between $20 million and $25 million per year, meaning the new deal would also fall between $34 and $42.5 million. The increase will also allow NXT to be more profitable as a standalone brand. Well, Jeff, didn't you just report last week on Billy Corgan's NWA possibly having a deal for 2 shows? Well, it also been rumored to be the home of Billy Corgan's NWA, both a wrestling show and a reality show. It will be interesting to note if that has changed because in the past, WWE has insisted on exclusivity when it comes to pro wrestling on any station they appear on. For anybody who wasn't paying attention, on the NWA pay-per-view, apparently they did a sketch where Jim Mitchell, the Sinister Minister, was doing cocaine. I put that in quotation marks, and sharing it with people around the table, which might have turned off the network, to doing a deal and start negotiating with WWE. To quote Chris Rock, grand opening, grand closing. But the CW was also in talks with UWN and Dave Marquez to do a live weekly show out of LA, but the WWE getting the nod. One would think the other deals as far as CW television long-term could be dead. Interesting to note, at least 2 other promotions that talked with the CW. Nick Hausman also reports that Tony Khan was approached by a CW executive in June 2022 at the show at the Forum and showed interest in airing Ring of Honor on CW, which would have been an all-around positive for both sides. At the time, Khan was not interested because he felt it wasn't fair to his relationship with WBD to make an outside deal. Oh, you sentimental son of a... It's not clear if Khan legally couldn't do it at the time or he just didn't want to do anything that would upset WBD by selling a show to a competitor. He was unable to make a television deal for ROH with any of the WBD stations at the time, and now one would think CW is off the boards as a destination. Chris, initial thoughts on NXT moving away from USA to the C-Dub?
Is C-Dub on like antenna TV?
Yes.
Yeah, I don't even have a good frame of reference on this. That might actually be good for NXT then. Not maybe like in terms of ratings, but in terms of like getting the product into houses that might be likely to go and check out a WWE show. But I find all these TV show, like these TV network deals to be weird because like I just, as someone, I have not had a cable TV package in 20 plus years now. And I just assume that more and more people are kind of moving in that direction.
Yeah, I'm not as high on this as a lot of other people are. I get that it's going to be exposure and it'll probably remain on Tuesday nights. My problem is this. This is a very much a lot like when SmackDown went to, was it My TV or whatever it was? CW right now is in the midst of a real identity crisis. They used to be where all the teen shows would be like what was that, Dawson's Creek.
Oh God, that was a long time ago.
A long time ago, yeah.
That was a long time ago.
No, I'm giving a basic history.
That was like the WB, yeah.
Yeah, that was the WB, and they became the CW for the most part. They sold their networks, and then they were really for a number of years, almost a decade. They were the place for DC Comics television shows to be, the Arrowverse, as it were, Arrow and the Flash and Supergirl and the short-lived Black Lightning and Legends of Tomorrow. And so they were very heavily into the geek culture. And then like of late, they've kind of been into the dark reboot type of business. I think Supernatural was on the CW for a while. the reboot of that witches show that is Charmed, and also the weird dark take on Riverdale, where like Archie, Jughead, Veronica, and Betty have like a 4-way mutual coupling thing. It's basically, teen drama meets Archie meets sex type of a show. But they have some weird deals now going. Like they show ACC football. Now, look, I am from the ACC, the Atlantic Coast Conference. We are not a football powerhouse by any means. We have a few good teams. We have, your Clemsons and your Florida States and Miamis, but it's also like Duke and North Carolina and Virginia, and soon Stanford and California, those Atlantic Coast schools that are there. So they've been trying to kind of reform themselves as, I think, a general network, not unlike what Fox did when they really overpaid for the NFL package to come from CBS to them, in addition to some of their fringe programming at the time, because it was like this, it was The Simpsons, and then it was shows like Married with Children, which wasn't highly regarded. It was watched, but it wasn't highly regarded. So I don't know. I don't. The CW network is such a it's such a hodgepodge of channels and stuff like that. It doesn't have like network news on it or anything like that. It's not a major. It's the equivalent of what a UHF channel used to be for people with antennas and stuff. I also just don't think NXT is a strong enough product
to be a destination show right now.
To be a destination show or to get away. It's what's called a hammock show, really, if you think about it, because it's there to basically bleed off anybody who was watching Raw the previous night in many ways. People know what channel it's on. It's on at the same time, and people can go there. A hammock show in network TV parlance is like the sitcom you put at 8:30 between the powerhouses you have at 8 and 9. So say, we're going to put they'll usually do it with new shows. It's like, okay, we have the Cosby Show at 8 and we have Cheers at 9. Let's put, Family Ties was already kind of a minor hit, but I was saying like A Different World when it launched, or, something that's not a 30-year-old reference.
Step by Step.
Step by Step wasn't that the 9:00 powerhouse on the TGI Friday network?
Yeah.
No, but it'd be Dinosaurs would be a good example. Cause I think Dinosaurs was at 8:30 between Family Matters and Step by Step. If I'm wrong about that, people can correct me. I don't care. I liked Dinosaurs. But yeah, I just, it's one of those things, and it's not. NXT's ratings of late have been high because of the main roster people on there, and if they continue to cycle people on there as current guest stars, I assume that'd be a good thing. But overall, the wrestling is far more mid. The stories are a little bit too campy. I don't know. I mean, because like something like Women of Wrestling could be a hit on the CW, and we'd never see it coming because it's it's schlocky TV that just becomes something that people watch when they're flipping the channels one of these days, and it's not cable, so you have access to more houses. I think overall it's a net positive. It's just one of those things where I'm just like, I don't think it'll be a huge hit, but it might have enough to sustain itself, kind of like a Tesla coil.
Back in the day, like Lucha Underground would be a good fit on CW.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it would have had a creative enough hook where non-wrestling fans might tune in and watch it.
Yep.
Because it was big on the telenovela stuff.
Before it got really weird in the later seasons, but like those first few seasons had like a really nice balance of like just enough plotty stuff. And then still basically a wrestling show.
And NXT, look, it does builds well, but I wouldn't call the sketches that they do good. They're schlocky, but they're not even ironic schlocky for the most part. They're very pro wrestling. It's very much what you say. Okay, if WWE had a show, and they were trying to do a developmental territory, what would you think the sketches on WWE type of a show would be? And okay, heavy gimmick, bad comedy, those types of things. So I'm
Overstaged, like the
yes,
closing segment on NXT with
yeah,
Mello, Lexus King,
yeah. It's very, and
Mr. A. Lexus King.
it doesn't pass the "Are you embarrassed if a family member walks into the room" test. And I think Lucha Underground might have.
Oh yeah, some of those Dario Cueto scenes, I wouldn't have had any problem people coming in and seeing, like Dario Cueto talking to.
Matanza?
Not Matanza. I didn't. Matanza didn't really land for me.
No.
That was one
I
that
have a brother and I've kept him in a dungeon.
I was not a huge fan of Matanza. I think that like really for me, it's those first 2 seasons of Lucha Underground where it's really good, and then the third season they kind of like get a little bit off the rails. They had the whole bizarre sexy star storyline.
Yes.
Horrible.
Penta likes to break arms.
Yeah, but that was good. The Penta breaking arms thing was good.
Got a little bit complicated when you had the Angela Fong / Lotus, the triad thing. It's like EO and Kyrie. He's breaking women's arms now, and you're like, I don't know.
I mean, like they came in as hired assassins, Jeff.
That's true. If you're a female assassin, you got to beat on them.
Yeah, I mean, what about okay? Like, if female ninjas break into my house, what am I supposed to do?
I can't. You have to eschew the male-female chivalry stuff. If a female assassin comes after you,
these are hired assassins.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. No, you've convinced me.
Yeah.
TKO had his quarterly earnings call. Earnings calls are going to be much, much different with the WWE. Because they don't mention any of the business metrics that Vince McMahon and everybody else used to go. It's a clean number. It's like, here's the profit, and here's what we were expecting, and that's it. There's no breakdown. There's no numbers. Those are all in the filings, but they're not going to do this on the call like Vince had to. It's mostly because they also have the UFC business to take care of. It's like, here's our deals, here's our business, that's it. And I'm fascinating because like WWE was only 12 days in, to the official merge, or the quarter only covered 12 days. But there's already rumblings. When TKO or when Zuffa, when Fertitta took over the UFC, it became, less about people we like and what's the bottom line. And so they cut a lot of veterans at that time. And I'm assuming that bloodletting's coming. And it might be a Christmas present to a lot of people, unfortunately. Because Vince and company have been known to do that before, even before the merger. But now you have, now you have the bookkeepers involved and stuff. So I'm fascinated by that. It was a fascinating call because it was much more. WWE is far less a part of the call than you'd think it would be for an equal partner. It's just kind of like, here's the financials, boom.
Why do you? I mean, so and then the rest of the time it's just been UFC.
Yeah,
But
I mean,
the rest
they
of
give
the
the
center on
equal thing,
UFC
and
business?
there's no here's our goals for the year, here's our stuff. It's a very it's more of a corporate presentation than you'd think it was for an entertainment company, because you think the entertainment company would be concentrating a lot on, here's what we're looking at or whatever, and they're just like, no, we're putting on shows, that's it, boom, talk to you later.
They might be holding the line here for a couple of quarters until Vince is like more
Out of the picture.
Yeah, exactly.
Speaking of which, the company's largest shareholder, Vince McMahon, then announced 2 days later that he intends to offer to sell 8.4 million shares of his stock. Notable, he's doing this because analysts feel right now the stock is undervalued. It is. It's not even $100. And one would think he'd wait until it's valued higher if that's the case, although stock wouldn't all be sold at once. Chris, why would you sell 8.4 million shares of stock at an all-time low? Or not an all-time low. It's $79, I think, even though WWE stock was over 100 at the time. Golly, Chris, there be any reason that Vince McMahon might need some spending cash?
Well, you see, Jeff, when a man likes a woman,
Oh,
but that woman doesn't like that man, but that man continues to press in advance upon that woman. In such a situation, that man often finds himself in court.
is there a picture book about this that I could read?
Yeah. It's when a man likes a woman, in parentheses, but she doesn't like him and wishes he would stop.
Babar goes to court. Wait,
Yeah,
what?
it's the Berenstein Bears. It's the one where Papa Bear gets himself into some trouble at work, and it shapes the whole family.
Curious George gets a little too curious. The cat in the hat with a
It was just that the
with
man,
a
in the yellow hat
restraining
gets in
order.
trouble.
Yes,
The man in the yellow hat gets in trouble at the cafe.
yes. Well, in my moonlighting job, the Screen Actors Guild strike is now over for all intents and purposes. The voting on the contract is probably going to be nothing more than a formality, but John Cena remains. He now gets to go back to work and make Peacemaker Volume 2. But that doesn't mean he can't also be a victim of some penny pinching stuff by one David Zasloff. Coyote versus Acme, a live action and animation movie, much like Batwoman. Not that that's a movie, but or not that that's an animated movie, but much like the Project Batwoman, canceled by the WBD, expected to be shelved for the tax loss. And boy, this sounded like an interesting movie to me, Chris. John Cena would be playing the lead attorney for the Acme Corporation, from which Wile E. Coyote buys all of his products, and Wile E. Coyote files suit against Acme to sue them for their ineffectiveness.
This sounds more like a sketch than an actual full movie.
I don't know though. I'd be John Cena playing this straight. I'm here for that, man, because he does that kind of goofy comedy stuff. That sounds like a winner to me in terms of actually having like adult humor within the movie as well as stuff for the kids.
It sounds like a 7-minute sketch to me rather than a.
You're actually kind of right now that I think about it.
Yeah, it's a 7-minute sketch.
Although the screenplay was also rewritten by James Gunn, so I'm they had some big time people on that. Of just random interest, Bill Mercer of world championship wrestling or world class championship wrestling fame appears in the new National Geographic documentary JFK One Day in America, which is also streaming on Disney Plus and the Hulu. It's a Tony Kornheiser joke. Calls it the Hulu. Mercer worked in radio news in Dallas, and his biggest claim to fame was his coverage of the Kennedy assassination in Dallas, which I did not know. He actually told Lee Harvey Oswald that he was being charged with the murder at the time. Chris, this enough to make you watch the JFK documentary?
Yeah, what happens to Lee Harvey Oswald?
Oh, Jack Ruby, paid by the CIA, shoots him.
Oh.
Allegedly.
Spoilers, dude.
Oh, yeah. Well, I am of the opinion. Well, okay, here we go. What's your belief on the Kennedy assassination? Did he act alone?
No.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think he did.
Okay.
Saray, I'm reading this story. It's like Saray, the former Saray, but no, Saray, the former Saray, as it's spelled, in NXT, has signed a multi-year deal with Sukeban. I believe that's how you pronounce it. It's an American-based Japanese wrestling company. She'll debut on the company's second show in December in Miami in a 4-way match pitting wrestlers of from 4 different stables. Saray will be part of the Cherry Bomb Girls and face Countess Saori, Atomic Banshee, and Babyface in a 4-way match. Fightful has reported Saray in talks to return to WWE, as I said last week, although those in WWE denied to us, saying that the departure wasn't really all that smooth, and that while the name came up, it wasn't anything serious. We heard that Saray was in talks with Stardom, and obviously signing here wouldn't rule out any Stardom appearances, since several people work both groups. Yes, there's a Japanese company that is now putting a Japanese women's promotion here in the States. Small. I assume that they will be working on syndicated television of some sort, and Saray looks to be the looks to be the foundation of that. Chris, any thoughts?
She's solid.
She is.
Yeah,
She
yeah,
she got done dirty by WWE, and I think
yeah,
Triple
she's
H
really
wanted to
solid.
bring her back to do a
Yeah.
make good, but dude, if you waste 3 years of your life and they don't use you, I can see her being bitter and saying, "No, I'm not coming back to that. Are you crazy?"
They really did waste 3 years of her career, and like during that time too, they wasted a lot of people's time.
They're still wasting Tyler Bates' time. I'm still
Oh
wondering
my,
what they're
oh
doing with
yeah,
him.
and Pete Dunne too. Butch.
Let's bookmark that for Lazy River talk, shall we?
Okay.
Injury report: Ricochet and Fallon Henley both in concussion protocol, not because they were in a match together. Ricochet, as you saw if you watched Raw in that 4-way, looks like he got that pretty early and ended up messing up the ending of the match, which was he was not supposed to kick out of the moonsault from whichever Viking Raider it is, because I always get I think it's Ivar, not Eric.
Yeah, it's Ivar. Eric's out on the.
Yeah, that's what I thought. And then Fallon Henley on was it the prettiest moonsault ever? Or
Oh yeah, yeah, no, yeah. Stratton definitely got her face.
Got her in the head. Yeah.
Yeah.
So those are all we have to report. Ratings. Just to talk about them, AEW did 804,000 viewers with a 0.28 in 18 to 49, and 0.20 with 18 to 34. Coming off Crown Jewel and with lesser competition, Raw on Monday did its best audience since the show on October 9th. Show at the Fast Lane. Raw did 1.5 million, a little bit over that, with 0.47 in the 18 to 49. NXT placed first on cable on Tuesday with the NBA off due to election night. NXT beat all election night coverage and was the highest rated episode of the show since 2019, other than the show where they had Undertaker, John Cena, Cody Rhodes, Paul Heyman et al. Show did 794,000 viewers with a 0.26 in the demo. Collision, on the other hand, got crushed because nobody wanted to watch wrestling after watching Crown Jewel. They did 366,000 viewers with a 0.09, 116,000 viewers in 18 to 49. Rampage, lowest viewership since June 9th, although up slightly from last week, 298,000 viewers with a 0.11. That means that Collision and Rampage almost tied. SmackDown, back to its regular time slot with the tape show, did 2.1 million viewers, 0.53 in 18 to 49. Any thoughts on any of those?
How Dynamite do?
Dynamite did 804,000.
It's not bad.
I believe it was fifth for the week, because I think there was like a Real
Yeah,
Housewives of Beverly Hills
I mean,
or something.
they're holding steady at least.
They're holding steady. I mean, it's and they have a good plan with MJF being all over that show.
That part for sure. The satellite shows really, it appears they just struggle to find an audience. Even among the AEW faithful, they struggle to find like an audience.
They are there to exist, and I mean, my idea was give them a hook, give them a log line, make them special or weird or different or something outside of the box. Experiment, I think, in some ways.
At this point, when you're doing 300,000 and below, why not turn these into just test labs for weird shit?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
I would be seriously. I don't know. Have a completely like a Bizarro universe show. I mean, how can you do worse?
That does it for our news section. Now for the Lazy River of professional wrestling. Whatever we watched, whatever's on our mind from stuff this week can come up, and I am going to take this opportunity to fire the first shot because I'd like to talk to some of you people who insult me. And by that, I mean...
Get him, Jeff.
I mean the people who come after me, and there are people in the Voices of Wrestling community who do this too. And there are people online who do this, who say,
what do they say about you?
Oh, you old heads, meaning me.
Mm.
There's no such thing as a casual wrestling fan. You don't need to book for casuals. You don't need to book for people because everybody kind of knows who everybody is and everybody follows the news. And we know that because Chris doesn't follow the news. So, but What am I talking about in context? I'm talking about this debut of Mariah May on AEW Dynamite. Now, for people who don't know, such as Chris, Mariah May was over there in Stardom doing stuff, getting high praise from people who I listen to in the bubble.
Cool.
I was told, Mariah May could be a big star in AEW. Mariah May would be a great get for either WWE or AEW. Mariah May could be a business changer, I believe Dave Meltzer said. I don't know if that for a fact. I don't want to put words in his mouth. But basically, him and other podcasts, especially Stardom and Joshi ones, were just like, what a big deal this Mariah May is.
Mm.
And I think Mariah May is very, very talented. I think she's very good on the acting side as well. And how did we introduce her? With RJ City, a comedy sketch, an all about Eve angle, or depending on how derivative you want to be, Mickey James and Trish Stratus / Tori and Sable, if you will. This does not scream star treatment. This does not scream making it a big deal. And all I want, guys, when I get into old head territory, is I want wrestlers, especially in their debut, to seem like a big deal. Mariah May, to me, should have been somebody with vignettes or something to that effect, hyping her first appearance in AEW, which then I would have liked a squash match, of course, to then introduce her to the entire world and show what a badass and bigger deal thing. Because I think I am of the opinion that a lot of what wrestling is missing is the awe of star power that the alternate reality of wrestling on television used to give to you. You used to think that wrestling was a big money business where people would go and all the people in there were making millions and millions of dollars, even if it wasn't true. That's all I want, because that actually made people seem bigger than life. And instead, I think the goal is to make wrestlers relatable or funny or whatever. And I'm just like, they can come out naturally, but make them a big deal first. I'll give the second half of my rant after I let Chris have a chance here to give some thoughts on the debut of Mariah May.
I looked at her and I hadn't heard anything about the Stardom stuff or anything like that. I'm not familiar with their work over there. She just immediately reminded me of Tony Storm, and then she name checked Tony Storm. And I'm like, oh, okay.
It's the Spider-Man meme where they're pointing at each other.
I'm like, yeah, no, like, I mean, like, I see it very much in the face, and like the Australian accent, them both having it helps, but like it's so there in the face that you would see that immediately. They had the different hair, and I have no intrigue in two people who are alike having a feud because they're too alike. Like that's a weird thing to do.
Oh, but it'll get laughs, Chris, when she's doing all the she's gonna basically, I think, be Sandow to the Miz. Maybe not doing the stunt double thing, but we're gonna play up this black and white movie thing for a little time. We're gonna have two, All About Eve's a great movie. Don't get me wrong. It's just, here's my issue as well. And it goes into the
the Tony Storm gimmick is also goofy too. And
and I don't think it should be anywhere near the title, but it looks like it's gonna get it. So
no, and then like I just think, I mean, I'm ambivalent to it being near the title as just like it's like a it's like a Goldust having the Intercontinental Championship thing. Like I like Goldust as Intercontinental Champion, so I don't know.
I'm ambivalent too. I mean, it'll be entertaining, but it's one of those things where,
but it's not a way to debut someone who's supposed to be a big star.
Yes.
Like, yeah. I mean, that's like my face when you're reading those like Meltzer quotes. I'm like, really?
I wasn't reading Meltzer quotes. I was trying to think
the
of
game changer. Yeah, the game changer or whatever.
I mean, I might have oversold it, but I remember when it was like Mariah May debut at All Out or All In. It's like, oh, that would be huge in the front of the British audience and blah, blah, blah. It's
I just don't know that anything's going to change the game for AEW at this point. I think the game is the game. Like their game is 800 to a million.
No, I agree with that, but I'm thinking in general, and I'm gonna now fold it into the larger world because I read a lot of people, and there's a lot of especially female columnists and podcasters who are very frustrated with women's wrestling right now, especially in AEW, because you only get one women's match really per show, if that. And the talk is always like, to me,
Yeah,
I
but what
always
else do you want to see? Do you want to see more Sky Blue?
no, I really don't.
No, that's my like. I mean, I'm never left for wanting more. I get the general sense of these people who you read and listen to that I'm not aware of and do not read nor listen to. But I never leave AEW's women's section of the show going, man, they should have one more segment of this. They're doing such a good job with these. These are all so good that I want to watch more of this.
It
Uh,
all feels
and I never
WWE.
feel that way.
Yeah, it also all feels that their instincts are all very WWE adjacent, shall we say, or TNA, even TNA adjacent in some ways in terms of what they do with weird, wacky characters like Sue Young at times, the former Sue Young who was there.
Yeah, and
My
I mean,
pitch,
and
well,
Sheeta's a very capable wrestler, but a boring champion.
yes, we've presented all these women the wrong way, and I have said this a million times, and people are now going to say, "Here goes Jeff with his stale idea." Okay, fine, but if I dressed up three women in power suits with sunglasses and money and gave all three of them belts, and they said they were here to do wrestling to make a lot of money, be rich, and hurt people, like a certain faction that might have come from the 80s that you should not reference because then it would become derivative. That stable would be the biggest thing in professional wrestling in terms of women's professional wrestling. If we took more notes from the 80s and how they did characters and promos and stuff, instead of doing comedy skits and lore and sketches and drama and stuff like that, and just had them come out and talk. And then we group them in regular stables. Like, the mistake that I think people make is that when this happens, they go, well, it's because Tony doesn't know women. So we need a female writer to go in there and do that. And I always go, no, you just need good writers or good people, and to book women's wrestlers more like wrestlers than like women. And that has always been my dead horse that I beat to death on glue, is that everybody's worried more about the women part of women's wrestling more than the wrestling part, where one would take care of the other, to me, in many ways. If you had a Dusty Rhodes, when was the last time we really had a good Ric Flair type character in the women's division at any time? I know Tessa, I think, tried in Impact at one time or whatever, but most of it's, geared toward like the Charlotte Flair Peacock crap. And it's like, no, it was just a serious professional wrestler who was in it for the money, who had class and style, and just was in this match also because she was the best, but also kind of enjoyed hurting people. What would we get out of that? Why do we not have Nyla Rose the centerpiece of a stable where she is? Okay, here's my point. Wrestling is an alternate reality, and you set the rules for the alternate reality and you build them. Nyla Rose is a native beast. It's not just a nickname. She is a native beast. She should be acting like this when she is around. She should be tearing into people's locker rooms and beating them up or something to that effect. She should have a manager that can barely keep control of her. Things of that nature. Play the realities of the characters that you're giving these people for the most part, as opposed to the goofy, what would be funny or pop an audience type of thing. And it's one of those things where it's like, this is where the old heads, I would hire the hell out of them to then book the women's division. I really would. I mean, the best women's producer right now going is Finlay, apparently, and he still gets what makes women's wrestling special.
Yeah, it's hard with like AEW's women's division just because the, so many of these pieces are the same pieces that
Yes.
they've done. I mean, for good and for ill, WWE has a deep enough roster and also enough rotation due to injury and stuff, and just people kind of coming in and out. There has been some degree of like ebb and flow to the roster, whereas I feel like I have been seeing the same 8 to 10 people on the
Oh, I'd
show.
say 4 people.
Yeah, right. I mean, so
Chris,
Chris,
Willow, Sky
Willow,
Blue,
Sky
and
Blue,
Julia Hart.
Cheetah, Julia Hart.
Cheetah, yeah. Maybe
Uh,
5 or 6.
yeah, right. I'm gonna spot
Ruby.
Ruby. Right, I'm gonna spot them up to 8.
Yeah.
But like all of these people, narratively, there's not a lot of tread on any of the tires. In part because there's no intrigue for any of the matches because they've now basically had all the matches you can have and pretty much all the configurations that are interesting.
Yeah, and then we make stables and they're automatically bickering with each other, like the Outcasts or the Baddies. And the Baddies was a good idea, but it was just like, and then it just all became about the internal drama of your crew. And it's like, well, we haven't really established them as a crew that has a great ethos. I mean, the Outcast was good because it's just like, hey, we used to be in WWE and it was better there. The Baddies had an interesting thing, except that they were all red shirts and geeks, except for Jade. You know, we really haven't done a lot with this women's division other than, hey, Chris Statler's friendly and people like her a lot. It's like, okay, great. How does that fit in? Willow has a great theme song. Okay, great. People like her. I mean, we've ruined Willow in some ways because she was the one to put over Jade, or to get put over Jade, in my opinion, and to make her a star. Now we're just treading water with her. And instead now we're doing, what does blue mist mean? What does black mist mean? Who's on whose side? It's just, it's lore stuff. And you're just like, okay, great. Let's, that's great for mid card stuff. Let's get to the top of the card and see some people who want to actually have feuds. That's just my opinion. Your go, Chris. I've talked enough.
No, I mean, I really do feel you on the ennui with AEW's women's division. I don't know who the young up and comer. I guess Mariah May would be the person, but like once she gets through the match with, she'll get a good Sheeta match, get a good Ruby match, maybe get a good Emi Sakura match in there. That's 3 weeks of television.
Your 2 champions of the division don't cut promos. Tony's
good. Yeah, right.
Tony's not a champ though. I mean, I'm talking to her and Statlander.
Yeah, and Statlander. Okay, so like that's like 5 good matches. None of which would necessarily be that good matches doesn't necessarily mean good programs, to be clear, because as you just said, she doesn't cut a promo like that. Is not going to tell a story like that. I love Emi Sakura, but like, Emi Sakura is a really good character worker. Not really like a storyteller person. Who else?
Boy, I'm here though for Sakura and Nyla as a crew.
I mean, like, yeah, okay, like that's fun. That's fun. They can have several good matches. It's just nothing. The roster's not. It's not.
You know what? The characters aren't diverse enough to have a world. To be honest with you.
Yeah. And they also don't click very well. Like
no.
they're different from one another. Like I guess, but also they're not. It's not like it's a Styles makes fights thing, right? But like I don't really care about like Emi Sakura per se having a feud with like I don't know Chris Statlander.
Yeah, and there's no.
And this is not a knock on Emi Sakura.
No. There's no.
Like
there's
the character. There's no. Why would I care?
There's no emotional resonance between any of the women in AEW. Like you don't really know. I mean, they tell you, oh, she's her friend. But they don't really act like friends to one another. Then nobody, Emi and Hikaru have a rivalry because Emi was her trainer or whatever.
Yeah,
like that's great. That's a backstory. But how does Emi feel about Hikaru Shida? Let's hear that in a promo.
We never
or
see
something.
that put on screen either. This is also this is a violation of show not don't tell. Like if you saw Emi Sakura occasionally out there watching Sheeta's matches, and like you could just see that like the reason she was watching it was because this is someone who, you know, she trained and like she might be going for the title at some point, or she just might be watching her student. Like,
Yes.
if you would actually establish that, then all of a sudden you could pay off that moment in the ring at some point when they actually have to square off for the, you know, auspices of a tournament or whatever. But like just saying it all of a sudden, it's so weird. It's like, you know, like let's say Kenny Omega had a match against I don't know, like Takeshi,
Kingo?
yeah, Vikingo, and it's revealed that Vikingo stabbed his uncle 2 years ago at a bar, right during at the beginning of the
It's got dark quick. Oh,
yeah,
but we're just
yeah, yeah, like and like on Excalibur's on the mic, and he's talking about like, yeah, Kenny's uncle lost one of his kidneys because of this. Vikingo's a bad man, but we've
And
never.
you know what they do? They'd have a match with a lot of choreography, and Excalibur would try and go, oh, you can see the hatred in Kenny's moves, and Kenny would just be doing the same match he does against, you know, any other acrobatic wrestler or whatever, as opposed to, you know, actually, you know, laying it in and being angry at Vikingo for stabbing his uncle. It would just be a plot point to get to the match. You know what it'd be? It'd be every Hangman feud ever, because Swerve goes into the kid's house and cuts a promo on his kid, and Hangman finally decides 3 weeks later, oh, I'm angry at this now. Now I gotta get at you.
That is still a step up because they at least showed something. But like in my head, it's very much Kenny Omega hitting the one-winged angel on Vikingo and getting the pin, and Excalibur going, that was for his uncle. He may never get the kidney back, but today Kenny Omega got the win back for his
That
uncle.
was for his uncle.
That was for his uncle.
Yes.
No, the Hangman Swerve thing, like I mean, what is the point of letting something wait for 3 weeks? In the real world, if something like this happened, you would like want to follow up on this immediately the week later. So it's either AEW World is trapped in amber in the intervening weeks between the show, like time at once moves in terms of injury recovery, but also does not actually move for any of these characters. Like,
Yes.
yeah, that they can only act and do things inside of the AEW
When the
world.
camera is on at the
Yeah,
arena.
at the arena.
Yes. Your turn, sir.
Loving what they're doing with the Young Bucks here. Just think this is going to be really interesting. Love it when Mac Jackson gets to carry the weight of drama.
I'm not gonna be too harsh on the Bucks part of that promo. I'm gonna be harsh on the Jericho part, because Jericho is being an absolute prick in that promo, and he's supposed to be a babyface after the JAS and after Don Callis turns on him and said he wanted him dead and tried to kill him. Jericho's out there just being an absolute douche canoe, knowing that these guys are friends. Kenny's not saying anything at the time, and he's not really all that embarrassed either by what's being said, to the point where he has to step in and defend it. I thought Jericho played this far too strong for a guy. I mean, as if it's like, Kenny's my new best friend kind of a thing. And you're like, no. This is an uneasy alliance between the two of you, as was established 3 weeks ago. You're not the world's greatest tag team. You're not this, that, the other.
Well, I mean, they have a name, the Golden Jets, and you're forgetting something important. They're both from Canada, the same country. And that sort of overcomes any absolute lack of narrative cohesion at any point during the history of this company between these two.
But the point is to get over the Bucks' passive aggressiveness. And you know how you don't do that? By being more passive aggressive than the Bucks are. You need to just go, hey, look, we're just teaming for a while right now to get rid of Don Callis and his family. I'm not trying. He should literally say, I'm not trying to steal Kenny Omega from you. We're just a team right now. You know, we're a better team right now.
What if the Bucks are actually baby faces here? This is once again more
Oh,
at the end of all of this, that the Bucks are actually the baby face of this segment.
I didn't think of it that way, but yes, what if they're the actual heroes?
There's like a 20% chance that that's how this storyline ends.
That's like
And
my
it's never been
favorite.
as dumb.
That's like my favorite trolling thought piece was in the Washington Post. There's an editorial about how the Empire was actually right in the Star Wars movies, and the rebellion was nothing but a bunch of religious zealots who were causing too much trouble in the universe. Type of a thing. It's like, yeah, oh God, no. I expect them to join with the Callis family eventually. But half of this promo, I'm thinking that back there going, Jericho is playing this so heelish. I almost expect him to join the Callis family after almost being killed by them at one point.
He had a painting of him getting killed by him. Like clearly that was the intention.
It's like the AR Fox Darby thing. All's forgiven. The next week. Yeah, I did not enjoy that segment at all because I'm just watching this and going, nobody knows their role here.
Well,
except the Bucks. The Bucks Bucks just need to be the Bucks. That's it. Because the Bucks are actually correct. You might be right. The Bucks might be the babyface here because they literally come out and go, "Hey, Kenny, I thought we were just going to be the Elite for a while."
I mean, right? Like they're in this case. Yet they have a point this time, but they're the heels. They always find a really interesting way to characterize themselves, don't they? Where like they're the good guys, but they're wrong. Like in the case of them with the Dark Order, and in this case, they're like the bad guys, but they're right. In the case of Jericho,
it's like no, they are dead set correct, Kenny. I thought this was going to be our thing for a while.
There's no narrative reason to be this closely aligned with Chris Jericho.
And what you need to do is tell them that they're correct still. Have Chris and Kenny go, yes, you guys are still the Elite. I am just having this temporary teaming with Kenny Omega for right now to get rid of the Callis family. And then once I'm out, or once that's done, you guys can go on your merry way and be the great guys. Be a baby face about it. Just talk them up and just have the Bucks just not having any of it.
No,
and make the Bucks
he
heel.
ends this segment with, I have my own
locker room.
That pulls out the whole point of any of this then, right?
Yes.
Like Jericho's like, I'm not really that close with Omega. I'm like, his tag team partner right now. Like we're a tag team. We're not like best friends. We're a tag team. Like, we're working together.
And it's leaning into the Bucks punk mythos too. If you have a problem with me, come to my locker room.
Oh yeah. Oh well, that's, oh boy. Everyone's gonna definitely understand and read into that, and I bet you no. Let's give this a few weeks, and you see if old Novi isn't telling the truth here. We're gonna be up a good couple 100,000 in the old ratings. Remember the little thing called the demo? Get ready to watch that puppy explode because people going into 2024, they care about this. They want to hear about it.
I'm going to give a little sorbet here and head over to the WWE for heading back to AEW.
Now it's sherbet.
Sorbet.
Sherbet.
It's a palate cleanser. Sorbet.
Right. Yeah.
Lemon sorbet.
Sherbet.
We're a classy show, Chris. We don't call it sherbet.
Okay.
What those hillbillies in the South call it.
Okay. All right.
You know who had himself kind of a week was Akira Tozawa, and in short, also the Alpha Academy. Because number one, I think this partnership works. Number two, pretty good banger on Raw, pretty good banger against Noam Dar on NXT as well. It's one of those things where it's like, I'm glad they're giving the young guy a chance. It's like, dude, he's 35 and he's been in this company for 7 years. You can't say that about him, but it's nice that they're showing him off a little bit. Look, Otis had a good match on NXT as well.
Yeah, I was gonna say that match with Gulak was fun.
Yeah, I mean, it was a perfect squash type of a thing. Although I don't know if you squash the leader of a faction first. Kind of have to build that. But Otis, and they've been kind of killing the social media game in terms of doing short videos, getting all 4 of them over. They have this weird dance video that is oddly endearing me, especially because I'm not a big fan of the Maxine Dupree character. I don't see what she brings at all, other than she's a semi-attractive blonde who's just attached to the Alpha Academy, which might be just enough. But I love me some Otis. Otis is so great. Just I often imagine that Otis is playing his character not unlike Chris Farley from the Chippendale sketch in Saturday Night Live, where he does think he's the sexiest man in the room. He thinks he's a beefcake, and he acts like it as part of the Alpha Academy in addition to playing the big guy. But no, these guys had great matches, and I enjoy, because I got to see work rate Akira Tozawa in PWG. He is such a fantastic wrestler. And yeah, he's used for dumb, sometimes bordering on racist comedy, but he's a great wrestler. So I want to give him his flowers this week.
Well, yeah, it was not his idea to put himself in the ninja outfit. Let's put it that way.
I adored that ninja gimmick, though. It was so unrepentantly stupid, and he can pull off unrepentant stupidity.
It's just,
yeah.
Yeah, but no, so I'm gonna stay with NXT and talk about the Carmelo Trick Williams segment here. This is the first time, in terms of characterizing these two guys, in a long time that I can think of, where they just missed the mark on this. It feels like
I agree.
It feels like in other times, Trick and Mello are really kind of like left to their own devices to kind of come up with their kind of characters and where they're at with everything. And in this case, they wanted to get a bunch of moving pieces in here. Like, obviously, they have Lexus King. Lexus King, all right, hold on.
Did he grow on you this week? Because he grew on me a little bit this week.
I mean, yes, but no. We have to talk. We have to talk about Lexus King's usage here. There's a thing there for sure, but it's like, okay, so you're watching one movie. Like, let's say you're watching one movie with two friends from the hood who have come up over the years, and like they've been close, and like they have challenges and all these struggles going on between them.
Yes.
And there's this question that, like, this is where I think they got too cute. They got too cute by
it's
half.
so obvious Tupac's the bad guy and that Omar Epps is a good guy. Yeah, no, go ahead.
No, they got a little too cute by half here with the mellow trick.
The melodrama is
right. The melodrama. No, like the did he, didn't he, and like Trick like asking in like weird dodgy ways, like never fully asking. It's almost like a Shakespearean sort of thing.
They shouldn't have done that. They should have just been more direct.
Should have been straight up right out the bat. And like you have Mello he said, I mean, he has to, I think in either situation, he has to say, no, I didn't do it. And either one, it's a lie, or two, it's truth. But like, that's almost got to be the end of the segment. Like maybe they have like a little bit of follow up. They said they're going to go for like the tag titles or something. I don't know. Like, right. Like they do something.
End of the segment has to be Mello realizing that Trick doesn't know.
Yeah.
And him having a momentary moment of realizing that he could get off the hook and get away with it, but not wanting to show that. And having to hide it real quick. And the problem is they go so big with the expressions and the look on the hug thing where he has that weird look on his face as opposed to just playing it how a guy.
And that one's. I mean, I at least like that closing shot just because it was like he accidentally waylaid Mello, but then like I don't know. Yeah, you didn't know. You don't know who attacked you. You don't know who attacked you. Like.
No, it has to be, wait, you didn't know who attacked you? Kind of inquisitive type of a thing.
Right.
You know what it is? It's the equivalent, I'm not saying apples to apples, of the director's note to play drunk. And I saw Michael Caine talking about this once. It's like Michael Caine came in and they told him to play drunk. So he went around, slurring his speech and and falling all over the place or whatever. It's like, no, you don't play drunk that way. What does a drunk do? A drunk is not
Trying to compose himself and
trying
failing.
to be sloppy and falling over the place. A drunk is trying to talk well and keep himself composed. That's what a drunk does, type of a thing. And that's what it was for this. I mean, this didn't feel like a guy who lied to one of his boys or whatever, type of a thing. This felt like, how would I script a TV show with somebody lying so that I could tell the audience, wink, wink, nudge, nudge, of course it was him, type of a thing.
So you're watching like that, like 90s, like street sitcom dramedy or that street drama sort of thing, right? And then all of a sudden, in comes Alexis King or Alexis King, and like wow, and like looking at once like Brian Bowman and also Michael Hayes, like
the head of the white gang from across town has come in for a cameo.
yeah, but like yeah, from like a completely different movie.
Yes.
It's not even that movie.
He's
not even on the right set.
He's my cousin from the country who's coming for a guest set.
It's
the character from the other sitcom who happens to be visiting the neighborhood as a crossover on ABC, type of a thing.
Energy, like I'm the new guy around here. My name's Lexus King.
Bob Saget has entered the Family Matters house for some reason.
But like he's here to shake it all up, and that's the whole premise of this episode. Like
he's Poochie.
yeah, he is. Serious Poochie energy.
Oh my god. Yeah.
And then he comes out, and it's like now we've taken this scene that was already being overwrought and like goes into this like weird overdrive where Lexus King's like, well, you never know. I might have attacked you. I might have done it because I'm a new guy and I'm on the scene and I'm trying to make a name for myself. And like it just
you know who that character is? That character is the guy in the crime movie who's taking credit for somebody else's crimes and gets shot in the head in the alley. The guy actually did. What are you doing? Taking my credit away from me and trying to get your props.
Yeah, like I'm the one who's doing all the things. Maybe it's me. You never know. Whenever anything crazy around here happens, maybe it's Lexus King who's doing it.
Unfortunately, the only reference I can come up real quick with is almost 30-year-old movie. If you ever seen The Quick and the Dead, Lance Henriksen's character Ace Hanlon, who says he shot this gang, and then Gene Hackman comes out and goes, "Oh, you're the one who did that? Let me tell you something. I'm the one who did that." And he ends up just blowing him away. Oh yeah, it's such an over the top thing too. It's like he's quoting Def Leppard on the way down,
and then like he gets to the ring, he stands between Mello and Trick, and like Trick clearly like Mello at the end of this clearly should be mad at Lexus King. Like Lexus King, like if he's not like in order for. Even for this to be plausible, at the end, like, even if Mel's trying to cover up that he's lying, he should then be that much more angry at Lexus King. Like, man, what the hell was that guy doing down here? He shouldn't have been down here. He had no reason to be down here. I'm going to get him. Like, we're going to find, like OJ, we're going to find
the real killers here. I'm going to go to the melodrama on the other side of the ledger. Because I have an interesting theory about this. Chris, who do you think the devil is?
I mean, if you'd asked me a few years ago, I would have had a different answer.
No, the AEW devil.
Oh, yeah. Sure. Pat Tanaka.
Oh, that'd be awesome. I'd be so here for that. I'd be so here for Pat Tanaka. Oh,
Pat Tanaka.
One of the guys in the hood is Paul Diamond.
Yeah. He has a new faction.
Al Perez would have also been funny for me because of the whole Black Scorpion thing.
Yeah. No, it's Adam Cole, maybe?
It's Adam Cole or Britt Baker. I think has to be it. I've seen people say Jungle Boy because of the glass this week. Here's my theory. I came up with that's off the beaten path. that there are actually two devils, and one of them's MJF, and the other one, MJF knows who it is, and he's not sure about whether or not the devil is working with him or not. And he might be going rogue on MJF, and that's why MJF was so concerned about the Acclaim. But then again, that was so, oh, my arm. Someone has hurt my friends, the Acclaimed. Whatever shall I do? I also have a weird other theory. I think they've actually been changing the minions to throw us off, because one of those guys was Wardlow this week. So there might be two sets of people working for the devil, if there are two devils indeed. And one might be the Pinnacle and one might be the Kingdom and Kyle O'Reilly. Who knows? But it's one of those things where I think,
I mean, I think MJF's the baby. I think that this was just poorly blocked. I think
that could be it too.
Yeah, I think like Wardlow and these other guys, that like Joe. I mean, especially like the mask, it could be Joe who is the devil.
No. Well, maybe.
Oh
but,
yeah, well,
but that was a thin person on that first beatdown that was standing there.
Yeah.
So it's one of those things where it's like, but this week Wardlow was definitely one of the people under the masks or whatever. He's the guy who threw Bowens through the plate glass window or whatever it was. I just like, what is that cubicle doing there? It's so weird.
And I really don't think Wardlow's in cahoots with MJF.
No, I don't know.
They have to. It would be. I mean, it would be the most AEW completely unearned turn ever.
It can't be a manager. I know that much. But go ahead. Sorry, didn't mean to interrupt.
Why can't it be a manager?
Because because all the heat would be on that manager then. If one of the minions is a manager, fine, but the devil has to be whoever the alpha in the stable is to me, and not a manager per se. Like there's like I mean, look, if you make it creative, I'm cool with that, and I think Cole or Britt is the obvious answer here. There's only one person that who it is, it would be an absolute fart in church for me, and no, Tony Khan. If Tony Khan is the devil, and this whole thing is about the war for 24 or whatever, and to try and ruin MJF's bargaining chip with the company or whatever in storyline type of a thing, that kind of meta crap. No,
that would be the jump the shark moment.
Yes.
Where like Tony Khan makes himself not just he makes himself the Mr. Khan character.
Yes. Oh. He's the Mr. McMahon.
Yeah.
He's Eric Bischoff. He makes the same mistake as every other single promoter of the past 30 years.
Right. Yeah, and that one's highly plausible for sure. I've been trying to figure out like who it could be. I mean, I keep going back to it's got to probably be Adam Cole, right? Like Adam Cole's the devil, and
I want it to be Pat Tanaka now. Are you kidding me?
I love Pat Tanaka. Pat Tanaka's very much out there. I'm sure he's available. Like you can get him.
Oh, thank you, Chris. That popped me so big. You just immediately come out with Pat Tanaka.
Why not? Glacier?
Look, Bad Company needs their flowers. They were a fantastic tag team. Some of you may know them as the Orient Express, the second version. But yes, they were an awesome tag team in the AWA. I loved them so much. Your turn, sir.
Man. No, the devil thing is I think, definitely a point of intrigue here. Like, what are we doing? What is the point of this? Outrunners are fine. They don't. They're like. There's such a weird. The problem with Dynamite, right? Like, kind of like on a regular basis, is that there's just like not a ton of heat for any of these matches that they're throwing up there.
No.
Yeah, so it's like theoretically, Swerve Strickland and Penta would be interesting. I mean, I saw it on Lucha Underground, but like, it's just sort of there, right?
Yeah, they don't build the heat all that much to lead to the TV thing. It becomes, we announced this match Friday, we're going to do it Wednesday.
Yeah, Samoa Joe, Keith Lee, same thing. Like this, should be like a Haas match that you kind of almost spend the entire show wrapping around to build up to.
Dude, I said that match needed to be nothing but chops, or I'd be disappointed. So I liked the match, though. I didn't love it, but I liked it a lot. The Outrunners are fun. But the Outrunners are pure gimmick. They're pure irony. They're pure mid card, and you need to keep them there. And I get it. You need to give them the entrance a little bit. But I will take. I mean, they got a heat segment. They did the homage to Jake with the finger in the air. You know, when he had him in the DDT position and then put him in a suplex. But they got a hell of a lot more than the Bollywood Boys did, and the Bollywood Boys do great work, especially in Defy as their tag team champions. All they got was a 310 to Yuma, and they were out. And I was just like, if I'm the Bollywood Boys, I am negotiating to say, hell no, you let me do what the Outrunners did, and you switched those teams' position type of a thing.
I mean, right? Like the Guns are not. The other thing with the Guns is they're not supposed to be a hella credible tag team,
aren't they?
No, they won the
they're now in the Bullet Club, so I mean they're supposed to be kind of.
They're in like the Xerox of a Xerox Bullet Club. I mean, like we've come. You realize like the original Bullet Club is now like the management of their company. Like
yes.
they're sold that like these are like the kids of the Bullet Club. Like
By the way, if the Elite are the minions, I would love that too. Hangman, Kenny, and the Bucks are the guys beating up MJ or the Jay White and everybody else, and then they eventually turn on MJF. I'd be here for that too, but go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, it is interesting, right? Because they've beaten up. Yeah, there's two different groups, or like there's the time they beat up Jay White.
Yes.
But we also know the Bullet Club didn't fake that.
Yeah.
Right? Like, because like Jay White wasn't gone very long, and he also got a sneak attack in the next week.
Dude, there are no beatings that last weeks or months anymore. I mean, a pile driver on concrete is a transition spot.
Yeah.
It's strong style. It's fighting spirit. No, it's not. It's called not selling.
But the Guns, like the Guns aren't supposed to be hella credible. I mean, they're still like the ass boys. Like they haven't really fully advanced.
They haven't toughened them up. They haven't really given them that tough sheen or whatever. They're here for entertainment purposes only to take to look shocked when you call them an ass boy for the most part.
Right, and this version of the Bullet Club is sort of like ironic too. Like it's not.
Yes.
It's not what the Bullet Club was when it was like Carl Anderson and Luke Gallows. And
no, it's a t-shirt. Why? Well, those weren't the two I'd pick if you guys say
those were the days. Yeah,
those are the guys you're picking, not AJ Styles.
Let me know. Let's talk about
cleaner
guy named Bad Luck Fale. Tamatanga. Thank you very much. He did get better over time.
Who's the Tokyo Pimp character that was in?
Oh, that guy. He was great. Loved him too.
Well, Jeff Jarrett was a member of the Bullet Club.
Jeff Jarrett also got himself into the Bullet Club when that was still cool. It was not cool, and he somehow finagled his way into the Bullet Club. This is a fact.
Scott D'Amore. Let's talk about the magic of Scott.
What I'm talking about is this is a faction that had quality control for a long time. So it had a high standard for membership.
Well, Finn Balor or Prince Devitt, at least, you know.
Yes, those also were in the Bullet Club along with the aforementioned Bad Luck Fale, Tamatanga, Scott D'Amore.
Hold on, I need to check out this guy's name because I forgot it. Riff a little bit.
Was it Taguchi?
It's something like that. It's I'm gonna
he used to have these really slow, methodical matches where he would like go outside the ring, and by methodical I mean boring as shit and lazy. And he would go outside the ring and basically just like weekly.
I just remember the name of his second was like Yellow Barbie Mao or something like that.
That guy, the pimp guy, yeah.
Takahashi.
I
think it is.
Takahashi.
Where he had the towel. The towel was awesome.
I mean, this is once a prestigious organization.
The Bone Soldier. Do you remember the Bone Soldier?
Bone Soldier.
Marty Scurll.
Marty Scurll. Who could forget Marty Scurll? Beloved wrestling figure.
Yeah, not no more. He ain't.
Well, fans can be very fickle, Jeff. You just get a few bad stories about yourself in the paper with credible allegations and
Well,
other things.
Haku was in it, so he's cool.
Haku's cool. I mean,
Meng.
you go against Meng. Yeah, exactly. The Tongan death grip. Thank you very
Yeah.
much.
Yeah.
Yeah, my point is that the guns, the ass boys, Juice Robinson, the former CJ Parker, and the cardboard guy, they're a step down from some of these more prestigious figures like Scott Demore, Jeff Jarrett, Tonga,
Cody Hall.
Cody Hall.
Oh.
I mean, I kind of think of this version of the Bullet Club's more like Aces and Eights,
I actually liked Aces and Eights before they made the reveal that Bischoff was the one behind it. I really liked the idea of D'Lo Brown running a motorcycle gang.
Why not?
Why not? Your turn.
Um,
Save me.
I don't know that I can do that. I don't know
No.
that I can do that. Okay. I know that Mark Briscoe got injured this year. And that kind of precluded him from being involved more in like matches and stuff for a part of the year. But boy, did they miss an opportunity this year to tell just a really compelling and interesting and like heartfelt story around Mark Briscoe trying to get the championship. Um, and making him a more central character on AEW's show. It seeing him, I was like, oh yeah, Mark Briscoe, yeah, it's great to see him. And then I was immediately thinking, like, why did they forget about this guy narratively? He should be on a journey. Whether or not he wins the title or doesn't win the title, and especially if you've got this devil thing going on right now, you could have the devil jump Mark Briscoe, and if Mark Briscoe's on a journey to win the title and then he gets jumped, that'll now make people want to know who the devil is because they like Mark Briscoe so much and they're like on board with Mark Briscoe's journey and such. It should mean more.
Yes.
Yeah, he should be a more important character to this show.
And he's always a joy. I mean, his interview segments on, I believe, Rampage and Collision were just so great and so full of energy. And he's so naturally likable too. And the backstory itself would sell itself if he wasn't likable, but he is. And like, I really liked this main event on Dynamite too. I really did. I thought it was it was, if you juxtapose it with the Daniel Garcia match against MJF, which was a television match, but you never believed for a moment that Daniel Garcia was, and boy was that. Side note here, he cuts a promo saying you're going to get the wrestler Danny Garcia,
and then there's no change whatsoever.
and there's no change whatsoever. He's doing a little bit of dancing. The dancing ends up hurting him in the end, and you're just like, no, they didn't tell the story that they said they were going to set out to tell.
And it's stupid too because like in this case, especially when you have a preliminary title match, like this is the ultimate opportunity for someone who is a wrestler to be like, I'm going to be the spoiler tonight. And like he just goes in and starts waylaying MJF. I mean, this is actually a really good like trap game sort of story match where MJF catches an injury because Danny Garcia like targets his knee or something like that. And now like going into the title match against Jay White, he has a tweaked knee or something like that can be exploited.
Yeah, no, and Mark is, I mean, they got me once thinking that he might get inserted into the main event in full gear, but alas, it was not to be. Bit of an update as I've been following SmackDown while we tape because we're live. Asuka has turned heel and has joined Damage Control for a bit, so it looks like both War Games are kind of set, or at least there'll be a little bit of a mystery for it. I think I like the Raw War Games a lot, and I think Drew McIntyre will eventually be inserted in here or something like that. But yeah, it's going to be Judgment Day and JD McDonough versus Cody, main event Jey Uso, Sami Zayn, and Seth Rollins. But I do think. See, I think they're gonna have Drew join. He's eventually gonna heel on this babyface team, but I think he might be a replacement for somebody on the babyface team and then turn in during the match or something. I don't know.
And join Judgment Day.
I think so. Or he just goes in there and joins Judgment Day, and then they have LA Knight save the day, I thought. But LA Knight had something else different. But then on the SmackDown end, it's going to be the women's War Games. And we know the heel team's probably going to be Bayley, Asuka, Kyrie, and Io, which to me is a hell of a team. It's just a shame. Such a shame that Bayley's the only one who can cut promos for them because they're just going to be basic foreign menace until they turn on Bayley. I think on the babyface side, it's looking to be Bianca and Charlotte as definite. It's probably Shotzi since she's been aligned with them.
Charlotte.
Now the fourth one's interesting because if they just go with who they have on that roster, it'd probably be Mia Yim. But I think you debut Jade Cargill in the War Games, and I think she's the cleaner for the babyface team. Let me put it this way, guys. I think Jade Cargill's winning the Royal Rumble. I think there's no way she doesn't win the Royal Rumble. And if you want to just debut her in the Royal Rumble, that's fine. But if you want to tease her going into the Royal Rumble, you have her come in here and be the cleaner for one of these teams and go, oh crap, here we go. And then you have her win the Royal Rumble. So I'm of the opinion that she is going to be in this War Games.
In the 6 weeks leading into the Royal Rumble, you can maybe have her have 1 or 2 TV matches too, just to get her sea legs.
Not too many. Not too many at all.
Not too many.
Nope.
Wait. I was told for a long time by people who were fans of the previous company that she worked for that she was developing. Are you saying that you don't think that happened?
I'm not saying she hasn't developed because she hasn't proved. I am saying that less is more with stars sometimes, and you have to kind of miss them a bit and to anticipate their return, and then they become a bigger deal. If you have her on TV week after week after week wrestling, people will start to figure out, well, maybe she has some deficiencies in her wrestling. See what I'm saying, Chris?
Yeah, no, I think you only really get like about 4 matches out of her before you start really exposing her. Like you have to kind of cover up in multi-man type of
we are starting the rehearsal for whatever her Mania match is now.
Oh, I know. Yeah.
You have to be.
Have to be. She's
I'm hoping it's not Charlotte.
It's not a weekly television person. She's not. Like she can't the dots have never connected and I don't see that getting better in WWE, honestly.
Yeah, because it's Becky and
scripted stuff.
Yeah, no, it's Becky and Rhea, definitely. I think on the women's side though, Jade. Boy, I don't do Jade Bianca. I love Bianca, but I don't know if she's that good of a ring general to be able to carry that.
Ooh,
Charlotte is interesting, kind of, but Charlotte's always in a top spot.
I think you got to do the Charlotte Jade thing just to have Charlotte call the match. And it is interesting because if Charlotte checks out on the match, that could be really fun.
I mean, Asuka would be an interesting pick here.
I don't want Asuka. Is she going to call the match?
I think so, but I mean, I think that who I think the safest choice is Bayley. If they could find a way to heat up Bayley, I don't know if they're going to. It looks like they're going to be turning her sooner than later.
Right.
But maybe we do babyface Bayley versus heel Jade, and I'm kind of here for that. I mean, you can't really. I mean, maybe well, you know what? We still have a couple weeks until Survivor Series. If the Japanese women on this team, if Damage Control, if Io, Kyrie, and Asuka all turn on Bayley, and she's the fourth on the babyface team, you bring in Jade as the heel cleaner. And then you turn it into a Bayley redemption story where she's the only one of the horsewomen who haven't had a main event at Mania. She's going to lose at Mania if she's up against Jade. But you at least play it up for a bit. You have her win the title at some point.
Yeah, you have her have the championship going into Mania. And
yes. Yeah. Yeah. That'd be interesting.
That'd be an interesting one, yeah, for sure. I think that's maybe the strongest of the options. Jade's. I mean, look, we've always been pretty down on Jade.
You have. I've been higher than you have on her though.
Dude, I mean it's one of these things that just seems like a good idea on paper, and then whenever you actually start trying to execute Jade Cargill in concept, you realize that there's just these like glaring gaps in
Glaring.
her.
Yes.
Yeah, that like the things that she's good at don't compensate for.
And the thing she's good at fit into the WWE style, don't get me wrong. The problem is she doesn't have, and I hate to sound snotty here, and I don't mean it that way, but she doesn't have the day-to-day grappling slash wrestling know-how to get to those spots that make her good, type of a
Right.
thing. Like she's not like Bailey to me is the best example. Bailey is the best bell to bell performer that they have in the women's division because she knows all the notes between the music and she knows the music. She knows scales. She knows she can do her triplets. She can do arpeggios. She can do like she in terms of a musician, she knows theory and she knows improvisation and she knows performance. She's the complete total package.
Yeah, she
Jade
knows how to
knows
do a good. She knows how to do a good weekly show slash go to a blues jam. She knows how to play like an actual rock club slash
yes,
pay per view thing.
yes. Jade
Jade
knows
Cargill is
performance and she can do a solo, but she does the same solo every time.
right, and like you really, I mean, with Jade, you need to have a bunch of rehearsals, and she's only gonna go up. Yeah, she is the
She has her solo written out on the sheet music.
yeah, like or like it's kind of like the way Ace Frehley used to do it sometimes. Where like I mean, and there'd even be more schlocky or guitar players who really did this. Where like they just basically played the exact same solo every single show, every show.
Yeah.
Yeah, like not every song, but like every time they played, let's say like this is not true of Thin Lizzy, but like the Boys Are Back in Town, they played the exact same solo to the Boys Are Back in Town in Huachuca and also in Columbus City and also down in Jacksonville and like all over the set. Like every single place got the exact same note for note solo. Jake Cargill,
That's a disappointing thing though. If you listen to bootlegs of different shows on the tour, and you
oh
realize they've
man,
been
is that
playing the same solo
oh
everywhere.
yeah, and boy that is a magic killer. It's real crushing. No, but like Cargill is amazing or like not amazing, but very serviceable and like can be very easily sort of packaged and presented in a way that's compelling for like a built once every 6 weeks sort of match thing.
Yeah.
But the problem with that is that you don't necessarily want to make someone like that your champion. But Jade Cargill's kind of like too big of an act to
To not make your champion.
not make your champion. But then when you do that, then you now run into the issue of week to week television.
I mean, we have done the opposite because this will make a good bookend. We have done the opposite with Jade that we did with Mariah May. We have brought her onto Raw and SmackDown and NXT and said she is a big deal. We gave her a throne on NXT to sit down as the new queen of professional wrestling, whatever it is. She is a big money deal. She is here to be a star type of a thing. You can't have her go into that first WrestleMania match and lose, per se. You can't have her, if you want to look, if you want to eliminate her in the Rumble and put her in a mid card match to see what you have there, I don't mind that, but it's going to damage her stardom. You have basically said we are putting the rocket on this woman, and then you need to pay it off.
I mean, all things being equal, I'd much rather have Mariah May than Jade Cargill. It's just like
Yes.
a like to build off of. I mean, even if Mariah May's not knocking my socks off right now, you can help her find a character, and like then she can do everything else on the week to week television, and it's going to be just fine.
Yeah, but you're also going to need to reboot her eventually from that character. That's the thing.
Well, no, I'm just saying like in a vacuum. I'm not saying Mariah May.
Yeah.
On AEW, I'm saying Mariah May. Like if I was doing WWE and I was doing
okay, gotcha.
I'd if I have Mariah May, it's like a much easier thing to work with.
Yes.
Cargill's inability to do interesting TV matches is just it makes it really hard to have any sort of long-term plans for. She to me is in a lot of ways, like her ceiling really is mid card faction leader. She leads the faction. She doesn't have many matches. She does like power moves every so often, and like she seems like she's the heavy, and maybe even has like a really devastating single move that she does. But that's it. Like she shouldn't.
She's Batista in Evolution.
Yeah, yeah. Like that's
before the breakout, but I don't think she's going to be able to be that breakout. That's
not gonna be the breakout. Yeah. But like that to me is kind of what she is. Or you're another one of your old favorites, Top Dollar.
By the way, B Fab showing up randomly on SmackDown, watching the screen backstage during a women's match.
Bring back B Fab.
Yes. She wasn't cut with Top Dollar or Ashanti. It was just Top Dollar, I think, that was cut. That grew. Any other point I have is minor, so I think we should just end kind of there. Well, do you have anything else?
I'm trying to think.
Oh no.
I know it never goes well, right?
No, it's one of those things because if you do it, then I'm going to bring up my minor points nevertheless. So I mean, I'm here for my JC Jane talk, but other than that,
the Creeds had a match on Raw,
right? Yes.
Yeah, they had a match. I'm liking the Creeds kind of. Yeah, oh, they had the match against DIY. That's right.
Yes.
That's right. Yeah, I was like cleaning my house and I had this and I had Raw on, and like Raw's always one that I can kind of like coast through a little bit, but like they had some decent little tag matches on here, and then when I saw all of a sudden I was like, oh wait, the Creeds are having a match against DIY. I mean, it wasn't like the DIY versus Creeds match that you would want or whatever.
No, it's not. It's not the NXT Black and Gold Takeover match.
Yeah, right. But like, it was like, huh? Oh yeah, the Creeds are a team that I would like to see a lot. There are a lot of different people I'd like to see them have matches against.
Yeah, this might be a shock to you. I mean, let's stick on Raw in WWE for a bit. The Sami Zayn Seth Rollins match was absolutely sublime. It was fantastic. I loved it, and I liked the build at the beginning for it, and then do it at the end. That was great. Sami Zayn's a very good worker. Seth Rollins is a very good worker. They had a very good match.
Seth Rollins is also doing interesting stuff as a character now inside of this weirdo Seth character. Like this Seth character is almost like sort of like an emotional drunken master, like where it's like but there's like an actual like an underlying sub thread, like in all the laughing and cackling and swaying and like goofy suits and stuff are like
there's a sadness to him.
Oh yeah, no, he is.
No.
He's like no, are you familiar with the sad clown who goes to the doctor? Turns out that he
is Pagliacci.
Yeah, he is Pagliacci, yeah.
Yes. Yeah. We're just all over the place with the references today, aren't we? Yeah, and while I really did enjoy Seth and Sammy, I am equally just got no F's to give. Well, maybe one F to Gunther and the Miz for that title. The one F I have to give is that the Miz is all of a sudden just pulling out weird moves that he never did before as a babyface. like aerial moves and stuff. And you're like, that's the Miz. What are you doing?
And I want him to go the other way in this match. I want him to try to cheat like mercilessly against Gunther. Like the way he's going to win the title is by like multiple low blows, like to the point where like Michael Cole's counting like that's the 6th low blow in this match.
like the meme of that martial arts guy getting just kicked in the nuts over and over and over again. Yeah. Just boom, boom, boom.
He like ref bumps the ref, and like Imperium's like they're trying to revive the ref, and like Miz just immediately goes and kicks him in the balls. And
he's
like
just escalating the nut.
Yeah, he like
nut shot.
Yes, and like does like a nut shot like from across the ring, like
it's a ref bump, and he kicks him in the nuts. He punches him in the nuts. He grabs a chair. He hits him in the nuts. He breaks a table over his nuts. Barbed wire baseball bat to the nuts, all of it.
exploding ring on the nuts.
It's the only move he does, as a matter of fact,
Yes.
in this match. It's just nut shots the entire time.
He does that. He attempts to deliver the skull crushing finale, instead delivers it to his nuts.
To his nuts, yes.
Nuts. Yeah, it takes him by the waist, slams his nuts into the canvas. And then gets a 2.9.
It's a transition move. Gunther explains that he used to be part of the Blackpool Combat Club and he turned his testicles just slightly so that the nut shots didn't affect him.
You turn them to the right.
You turn them to the right and cough. And then you're looking for them. Oh, let's cut this show. We're not going to top that. You can follow me at CrapGame13. Follow Chris. That's on X. You can follow the show at Shake Them Ropes, all one word. You can follow Chris on the gram at Dr. Nove. That's DOCTOR_Nove. We are part of the Voices of Wrestling Podcasting Network. Podcasts for all your niche wrestling needs. Music of the Mat, 5-star match game, Good, Bad, the Hungy, Open the Voice Gate, and of course the flagship with Rich and Joe. You like what I do, and God knows why would you after that horrible joke. I'm on the Fight Game Media Network. I do a show called The Dynamite Show. Goes on about 20 minutes after Dynamite ends. It's a thorough deconstruction with myself and Paul Ace Fontaine, where I basically focus test the bad takes I put on here about AEW. It's patreon.com/fightgamemedia. $5. You get the audio. You can watch the video for free, but hey, I'd like to get paid occasionally. Chris also likes to get paid occasionally, and here's his monetary plug for you.
Yeah, if you're interested in music lessons, please hit me up on Instagram. The holidays are coming up, and it's a great time for you to buy guitar lessons for somebody you like, or to buy a guitar for somebody who you know doesn't like guitar, and then give them lessons for a thing that they hate. So long as you square up with me before the lesson, we're all good.
Or if somebody's parents really hate guitar, you buy that person a guitar and give them lessons.
Oh yeah, that's for sure.
Yeah.
You going through a divorce, ex hates guitar. Great idea for the holidays here. Get your kid a guitar, tell them that you love them a lot, and we'll get started. Anyways, if you're interested in doing that, you can hit me up on Instagram. I also am posting demos of my band, or I guess of me doing songs that my band will be performing here, so that we can start getting gigs, so that then we can start performing. So if you want to hear the songs, and then you theoretically like the songs, so that there's not like videos, that would be good. Otherwise, everyone have a Merry Christmas.
It's November, fool.
Oh, okay. Somebody doesn't believe in the Christmas spirit.
That's it.
Do you like wrestling trivia? Then check out the 5-star match game, the Pro Wrestling Quiz Show. I'm Joe Gagney, and every episode, I grill 3 contestants with 5 rounds of power-packed wrestling trivia. We have over 30 evergreen episodes in the archives covering WWE, AEW, Japan, Mexico, and much, 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 much more. Play along at home and check it out today.